Hello and welcome back to the Game Room. You know what I love? Video games. You know what I love talking about? Games. And it seems like a lot of people these days who cover games seem to hate them. Or at least the people who play them. Well, that's not me, and that's not the 2,158 of you beautiful people checking out this video here today. Well, for today's video, I've recently jumped hard into Xbox 360 collecting, and to be honest with you guys, I feel like I am a little bit late. And I've been wanting to do this video, but I wanted to have the games to show, and I've been looking for one particular game, which we're going to talk about, but I think I might have missed the boat on them. And what's funny enough is that since I picked up a lot of these, the prices have gone up. Now, whether that's through genuine or speculative, that's to be debated. But if you guys are interested in some Xbox 360 games you need to pick up now, well then, let's check out the video. There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. My name's Luke. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life.
This is my game room.
Alright, so I figured I'd start off this video with a game that I have delayed picking up for years, and much to my chagrin, I could have picked this up when it was $15, $20, just never did, never thought it was that important. And of course now, the Xbox 360 store is closing. I know this is not the only system it's on, but I like the Xbox 360. Back in 2008, 2009, that was my system of choice. It's really the only Xbox console that was really my dedicated machine at the time. I never cared much for the PS3, and I can't stand the Wii. So this game, Splatterhouse. What's funny enough, when Splatterhouse came out, I feel like it got a lot of negative reviews, and then over the years, it's slowly but surely been getting a lot of kind of retroactive praise. Being like, wow, this game was actually pretty good. It's not lost in the noise of all the different third-person action games now. It has the ability for you to even play, I believe it's the first 3 games on the disc, which if you know how expensive Splatterhouse is on the TurboGrafx and then 2 and 3 on the Genesis, that alone is worth the cost of entry. And it's a good game in its own right. I know that I first really saw a deep dive of it by my buddy Wes, God, 2016, 17, sometime around then, but I never picked it up. Luckily, I was able to pick this copy up for about $40, and that is still a deal, and it's missing the manual, so... But really solid third-person action game. It is on the PS3 as well, but like I said, I enjoy the Xbox 360. It's more or less a reimagining of the series, and after Splatterhouse came out, nothing since. Which is a shame, because it's a cool series, and maybe if this game had gotten better reviews at the time, or better play at the time, but I think it was just too similar to stuff like Darksiders, and another God of War, and his over-the-top blood. But now we're sorely lacking for this kind of game, and that's why I'm really looking forward to checking it out, and if that sounds good to you, I'd pick it up now too, before it keeps going up, because... it's probably going to keep going up, especially because it allows you to play the other Splatterhouses. Now, this is a game that came out early on in the Xbox 360's life cycle. I'd never heard of it before until I started watching these other YouTubers cover games, and it kind of falls into the same vein as Lollipop Chainsaw or the Onkimbara series, where you just have a very sexy female protagonist going around, and that game is Bullet Witch. Which is funny, if this game came out now, I'm sure there'd be controversy. But it's really just that. I don't know anything about this game. I haven't played it. I think I got it for $30. Just one of those ones that if you want it, it's only on the Xbox 360. It looks like a dumb fun time. Reviews at the time said it was bad, but it probably fills that same Bayonetta itch. I never played Lollipop Chainsaw or any of those other games, but it just seemed interesting. You walk around, a girl with a giant Gatling gun, kind of reminds me of Planet Terror. So it seemed interesting, and it seemed like something I'd want to have. I wouldn't want to have to pick this up for, $100 down the line. Now, here's a game that fooled me. I thought it was going to be good. The premise sounded very interesting, and I looked around, saw nothing about it. It was super hard to find. In all honesty, it's probably too late to pick this game up, and that is Darkest of Days. So I got this for $40, and now I can't find it any cheaper than $80. Bear in mind, I bought all of these games. Not all of them, but I really heavily invested in the Xbox 360 around the first week of March. And now a lot of the stuff I got in the first week of March is either unable to be found or has had its price doubled. That's how quickly this has happened. Now, I don't know if they announced the Xbox 360 store was going down in that time. That might have happened, and I just got dumb lucky. And I managed to go to my local game store before they had jacked the prices up. So it really was fortunate. But yes, Darkest of Days. More or less, you're playing as the TVA from Loki. That's kind of what it is. You have these people that go back in the past and correct problems by sending people who were supposed to not exist. So they find these soldiers or people who are about to be in natural disasters, and they rescue them, and then these people just are missing because they weren't necessarily supposed to be there at the time, and something got lost, paperwork. But the game itself is terrible. It's really, I thought it was going to be better than it is. The controls are bad. The gameplay is bad. It's based on a PC game, and I got towards the end of the game, and you think it's going to be in different time zone eras, like they talk about being in ancient Rome. That has to be the very end of the game, because pretty much the whole time you're either playing in World War I, the Revolutionary War, or briefly in World War II. And it all looks the same when you're in the Civil War. That's what it is, not the Revolution, the Civil War. When you're in Civil War, you're using guns that fire one bullet at a time, and it's just tedious, it's boring. One of the worst games I've ever played. This is true Xbox 360 shovelware right here. And the fact that it's now super expensive and had such a cool premise. Probably one of the coolest premises I've seen for a game that just led to nothing. Like, imagine a Time Splitters type thing, but instead of it being wonky and zany, that's more of a serious bent. But that's kind of where the goodness ends. All right, the next game I just barely picked up before. I can't find a single copy on eBay. Now, I'm a big fan of this series going back to the PS1 days, and I have been actively looking for a copy of this since I wanted to pick up the other sequels, so I could talk about that in a sequels video. And this one was one I almost bid on at $20 so many times. I just didn't, and I finally was forced to have to get it for around $25 or $30. But even then, I was lucky to get it at that price, and that game is Tenu Z. So this is another one that's only on the Xbox 360. I love the Tenchu series, and what's funny is after the first two Tenchus, I completely fell off the series. I was unaware there was a third one. I was unaware of any of the other ones that came out. I was unaware of Tenu Z. Had I known about this, I would have picked it up, and it seems like that's kind of the case with a lot of people because you don't really hear about it that much. And if you like Tenchu, it's a stealth action game, but the stealth is not so cumbersome as to be bad, in my opinion. I enjoy, like, I don't like stealth games, but I like Tenchu. And I wanted to pick up Tenu Z just before it became impossible to find, which right now is happening, which I'll tell you about that in the next game, but I think there's a ring of bandits going around on eBay, Amazon, and the like Mercari, and just buying out all the copies and then reposting the other copies for exorbitant amounts. Like, you'll see this with a game called Fatal Inertia does that. And then the one that I've been waiting to do the video on was a game called Cordyceps Saga, which I had never heard of this game. And what's funny is I look back in the past of videos from previous videos I've seen on this, and I've seen it there, and no one ever talks about it. It is basically like a Mario Party clone, but it uses kind of card game mechanics and different monsters you can get. And it really just seems very cool and very unique, and so much so that I really wanted to pick it up. And what's funny enough is that literally the day I started going and buying these games, all of the copies got bought off eBay and around for $30, $40, nothing crazy. And there was nothing. And then maybe a week later, they started getting posted at $200 or $150. I'm like, this is insane. I'm not buying that. And it stayed that way. I think the cheapest I've seen it get down to is $100, which now I feel stupid for not doing. And this isn't just buy it nows. This is bidding as well. Like, every single time it gets bid up well over $100. And I, for the life of me, don't know who is doing this, how this happened. And it's insane. And this is happening with multiple games, not just this one. Tenu Z is like that too. So if go to your local game stores, if they haven't caught on that Xbox 360 has this weirdness going, you can go in there and find some deals on stuff. I found that on this next game, which luckily I picked up. because this is kind of my holy grail for the Xbox 360 without even knowing about it, and that is Operation Darkness. So my wife picked this up for me for my birthday. I want to say they had it listed for $85 complete, which was steep. That's very steep for a friggin' Xbox 360 game, which I never imagined I'd be paying more than $5 for one. But now here we are. And the reason for that is it's a turn-based tactical game. And I did not know there were any turn-based tactical games on the 360. It's my favorite genre. I've really been going around trying to pick up all the turn-based tactical games that I can find. And allegedly, this is a pretty solid game. You know, it's made by Atlas, so you know that's going to make it rare. And literally, the copies of this now are going for $150, $200, $300. I've seen one posted for $500, something insane. And I haven't played it yet again, another one, but if you can find a copy of this under $100, snatch it up, because this one has all the hallmarks of a rare game in the making. And, you know, you want to get it now before it's too hard, especially for someone like me who actually wants to play it. And some of these games I know are backwards compatible, so you can play them on Series X and Xbox One. I don't know which ones are. I don't know if that one is one of them, because I think a lot of these also are going up because they aren't. So you could only play them on the Xbox 360. Now, here's one that, what's funny enough, I actually QA tested this game back in 2010, 2011, whenever it came out. And at the time, I thought it was way too tood-filled for its own good. And as the years have gone by, I've actually thought on it and reflected on it much more fondly. I've wanted to do a Hated Gems on this video game for a long time, as I played it and beat it twice during that testing phase. But it's always a little different when you're doing it for, you know, not yourself. And that game is Shadows of the Damned, which was made by Suda51, the guy who did, I think, Killer 7 and the No More Heroes games, maybe? I don't know exactly, but yeah, I actually did not care much for it, but it was such a unique... I didn't care much for the amount of cursing and just the crude humor. I mean, you have his freaking gun is called the Boner, and there's like all this, like, okay, guys, we get it. You guys you're appealing to a certain audience. But the actual gameplay itself of having the lightness and the darkness, going through all these different worlds, all these different crazy things, it's a very competent game. And I think it's also on PS3 as well, but it's been hard to find pretty much ever since it came out. But it's always been around a $30 or $40 game. But if this sounds interesting, get it now. I can see this being a $100 game, $150 game on either system, because it really is a quality experience. It has a little bit of that Dark Souls dodge rolling mechanics in it, but it's funny. As much as the humor was kind of off-putting for me as a kid, it's kind of grown on. Like, the gameplay was solid. It's a solid game. It uses solid mechanics, and really, I'd like to give it another shot just to see if my opinion on it has changed. Okay, so here's one that's a little odd to bring up, but I'm bringing this up because of the servers being shut down, and also because there's still a really good community out there playing it. And I put a lot of time into this game. I got my little brother to play this game. I got my older brother to play this game, even more obsessively than I did. I remember one time I tried to get into his house, and he was playing it, so I basically had to climb his fence, open his window, and I scared the bejesus out of him because he was playing Left 4 Dead 2. Now, why am I saying to pick this up? It's going up in price. There's still people playing this game. Now, I know you can pick it up on Steam, and it has all the DLC and everything included, but I don't like playing on computers. I like playing on my consoles. Now, the other reason why I want to pick this up is that you got to get Left 4 Dead 2, and you got to download the DLC. The DLC actually allows you to pretty much purchase all of Left 4 Dead 1's content, but put it into the Left 4 Dead 2 engine. So you get all of the campaign from the first game, you get all of the cast from the first game, and then there's 2 additional scenarios you can purchase too that just gives this so much replay value. Like, every time I log into my Xbox 360, there was a gentleman that we used to play online with on this game, and he's still playing it. There's still the ability to play this with friends, and is just, you know, it's one of those memes. When is Valve ever going to make Left 4 Dead 3? I know Back 4 Blood came out and kind of was like a fart in the wind and went away, because nothing can beat the king. And what's funny is the first game's fun too. You can still pick up that one. I'd recommend Left 4 Dead 2 because you can download everything the Left 4 Dead 1 has. But hey, that's my opinion. All right, next game is one that kind of got me started on this journey. So I came across, I can't remember the YouTuber's name, but then I came across another YouTuber by the name of Mr. Right Way, who I've actually become a big fan of lately. I love his content, and one of the games he brought up was a game called Zoids Assault, which I didn't know Zoids is a thing. I guess it's a cartoon or an anime or something of that nature, but Zoids Assault is a turn-based tactical game. And yet again, when I hear turn-based tactical, I know two things. A, I need it. B, it's gonna be pricey someday. If not now, soon. And I managed to pick this bad boy up for, I want to say, $30, and it is way more now. I think this isn't a month. Bear in mind, I got most of these games that weren't, so Shadows of the Damned, Left 4 Dead 2, I had that, but almost everything we're talking about now, I have picked up since the first week of March. So Zoids Assault, another tactical game, mediocre reviews, I don't care. A tactical game on the Xbox 360 that I can play that just sounds interesting. It's another mech-based game. It's funny, there's a lot of these turn-based tactical games that are mech-based. Vanguard Bandits, you got the Front Mission series, and now you got Zoids Assault, also exclusive to the 360. One of those ones that I definitely want to check out and definitely wanted to have in the collection. So I didn't regret it later. And if you like turn-based tactical games, I know some of you do, that's why you watch this channel, that game and Operation Darkness are going to be two very hard to find games down the line. Now here's an interesting one. From Software, I've always known about the Armored Core series. I knew they did the Dark Souls series, but they also had a kind of like a Ninja Gaiden type game or Metal Gear Rising Revengeance type game on the Xbox 360. Another exclusive for it as well, and that is a game called Ninja Blade. Now, this is one that is just going to go up. I've already seen it go up. I picked it up for 20 bucks, and already I've seen it go for $40. It's an over-the-top action game, but it's made by the Dark Souls people. So, but it's not Dark Souls hard, but it has some of that DNA. So think of it, maybe I would say this is more of like a bridge of, you know, if Sekiro, before Sekiro got infused with the Dark Souls DNA, so it definitely leads more into the Ninja Gaiden frenetic pace, but it's just very cool. A very cool game. Another, you know, From Software, they'd really only done the Armored Cores at this time. Maybe this was right after Dark Souls came out, or right before, this was like the game right before it. So it's just cool to see it. Like, that's one of those things where I like buying games from certain developers and certain companies, and I like having them. And it's funny, with the Xbox 360, I feel like this is the first time in my entire gaming and collecting life where I was ahead of the curve. Because I'm always hearing these people say like, oh yeah, I was buying NES games when they were $2, or I bought this or that. I'm like, yeah, that wasn't the case, bro. Even though I've been playing these my whole life, I was always late. I started collecting PS1 when I had missed it, when I could have got them at these prices, and finally I jumped on some of these before it, so I'm happy. Hopefully I can help some of you guys. I wish I could have gotten this video out sooner, but like I said, I've been trying to get Coldicep Saga, and I just gave up. So here we go. We got 4 left. So this is an interesting one. It's funny, when this game came out, everyone was just crapping all over it, saying it's not as good as the Rocksteady games. Hold off for the real third game. What were they thinking? And then over the years, I've started to see a shift where people actually warm up to this game, and I don't know if that's because we've just gotten nothing. When Arkham Knight came out, it just wasn't that great, or whatnot. And it's not just on the 360, it's on the PS3, and that is Arkham Origins. So Batman Arkham Origins. I remember when this game came out, I had bought Arkham Asylum, I had gotten Arkham City day one, and when this came out, I'm like, prequel? No, I don't want a prequel. I want to continue the story. So I didn't pick it up. And at the time, it got decent enough reviews, but it just wasn't, you know, it wasn't world beating or anything like that. So I just held off on it and was like, yeah, I don't need it. And I'm like, I'll pick it up eventually. And what's funny is after the Suicide Squad game came out, it finally jogged my memory. Like, man, if that's what's happening, whoo, maybe I should go back and pick that up. Maybe I missed something. And I feel like a lot of people did that because this game is getting harder to find. I mean, Arkham Origins, I would not expect it to be any more expensive than the other Arkham games, which are like $5 to $10. But then it started creeping up. And I saw it like $20 for an Xbox 360 game. And I want to say this one I bought in February or January before I knew. This is kind of the gateway drug that got me looking into other games that were going up. It was like, wow, this one's this expensive. What else is going up? Because once again, price charting is not that reliable on this because these are actively going up as we speak, as well as we have people actively manipulating the market. So I wanted to pick up Arkham Origins. Largely it plays just like Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. And since I didn't like the Batmobile and Arkham Knight, I'm starting to think I might really enjoy this game. So I just figured, why not pick it up? Let's get it. Let's get it before it keeps going up. And it has. I think it's close to $30 now. So I would jump on that one if you are interested and if you like the Arkham games. Especially because I don't see us getting anything like these games coming out anytime soon after what happened with Suicide Squad. All right, last three. So this is one that you never hear about. The entire series I was a fan of in real time, and I did not know about this one or pick it up, or if I did, I think it got bad reviews, so I didn't pick it up. And that was Def Jam Icon. And it's always been around a $20 game, and finally I just decided to pick it up. I think it integrates the music and the beat a little bit more, so it doesn't use the exact engine that Vendetta and Fight for New York use. But if Vendetta and Fight for New York are any indication, this game could go up in price, and because it's a Def Jam game, it likely has a lot of licensed faces in it, so you're not likely to see a re-release or anything of that nature. So I've been scouring for this game for a long time. I've never really come across it, never seen it at a convention, never seen it at a game store. Now bear in mind, like I said, I'm not usually looking for 360 stuff. I'm sure it's been there. But it was just one of those things where it's like, man, I should pick this up. No one really talks about it, and I feel like I had a chance to get it for $5 in a clearance bin at one point, and I didn't, and I'm kind of kicking myself. And I want to say that one's also on the PS3, but like I said, I like the 360, and so I recommend picking up Def Jam Icon just in case that one explodes, because I never expected Fight for New York or Vendetta to explode, and look at that. All right, now here's one that is really funny to me because I remember seeing an article about this in Game Informer when it happened and thinking to myself, that seems interesting, but no thank you. I don't need another dude and his buddy game. And that is Majin and the Forsaken Kingdom. And what's funny is this game came out and I never heard about it again. I've never heard about it again until last month when I was actively scouring for Xbox 360 hidden gem videos, and this was in it, and I'm like, oh my god, I completely forgot about that. Now the concept is basically you have a giant AI helper beast and then yourself, and I think you can ride the beast or you use them to solve puzzles in areas and then fight off stuff, and it just, at the time, it just didn't appeal to me, but now, because bear in mind, back in 2008, 2009, 2010, I was heavy Call of Duty bro. I was heavy online multiplayer bro. I played the Halo Reach. I was playing Call of Duty World at War. Like, I really was into the competitive deathmatch. Not so much anymore. Not so much. I mean, there's only so many years you can redline doing that. It creeps up every once in a while. Something like Overwatch will come out, or I was competitive in WoW back in the day, but it only lasts so long. I enjoy games. I enjoy single player experiences, and so something like Majin and the Forsaken Kingdom is very unique. And I look for unique experiences, and so that's why I jumped on this. And I'd recommend jumping on this too if you guys like diversity of games, not just everything being a single first-person shooter. Or just a platformer. Because it sounds very interesting. You go through levels and you have this big helper beast that can help you go through them and do them. And it kind of gives me almost Shadow of the Colossus vibes. Things of that nature. It's like $20. It's nothing crazy. You can find it on either system. But I see this being another one that's going to be hard to find. And lastly, the other game that I QA tested for at EA back in 2010, which really is funny to me that I QA tested for 3 games and then the ending of Mass Effect 3. And for the life of me, I can't remember what the third game was. I think it was Singularity, or it's something similar, or it's a Syndicate. I think it was Syndicate. And that game, you can find it cheap. But this game, Alice the Madness Returns, has always been about a $30 game ever since it came out. I've been waiting to find it for $5, $10. It's on the Xbox 360. It's on the PS3. It's a sequel to a PC game, and one of the cool things, and one of the reasons why you should pick this up now too, is that the PC game is actually free DLC. Still to this day, if you just go and download it on the Xbox 360 Marketplace, you can download the game for free and play it when you have this game. And it's it's funny, at the time I really enjoyed this. Other than the second stage, the underwater stage, I thought was very long and arduous, but I've been talking about how this is a solid game since I played it. I enjoyed this much more than Shadows of the Damned. And it's fine. I'm not an Alice in Wonderland fan, but it is a very fun, solid experience, and one that I'll always recommend picking up. And I've been looking at it for years, never been able to find it. Now, it doesn't come with a manual. That's the other thing, is it never had a manual, which is part of the reason why I haven't picked it up, or I didn't pick it up when I saw it, because I would see it in stores for maybe $15, $20, but then it wouldn't have a manual. And this is right around the time when they stopped putting manuals in the games. So just find a copy that comes with a case. You know, there's some inserts that are supposed to come with it, whatever, I don't mind. And now I finally have it. Alice Madness Returns. I recommend picking it up before it's too late. And there you go, everyone. That is 14 Xbox 360 games that you need to pick up now before the price goes up. Let me know if there's any more games you'd recommend. I actually have enough games to do a part 2 of this, which we will get to. I'm just, I'm trying to get some more to show, as I like to have it. I hate telling you about Cordyceps Saga when I can't even get it now either. So now you're going to make it hard for me to find. But yeah, let me know if there's any other ones you recommend me picking up. I did pick up a game called Killer's Dead. I didn't bring that up in this, but I'll probably do that in part 2. But yeah, the Xbox 360, the store's going down. Get these games, get the DLC, jump on it. They're going to be going up, especially with everyone talking about this and that. And then the nice thing about Xbox is the Xbox One and the Series X are backwards compatible with some of these games. Not all of them, but it's just a cool feature, which eventually I am hopefully going to get a Series X, and that's probably what I'm going to use it for, is playing Xbox One, original Xbox, and 360 games. Anyways, that's what you get for this week, guys. It's been so nice seeing you all here, all the comments, all the likes. Please give a comment. Thank you to the patrons. Thank you to the members when we ever get one. I'm sure we'll get a channel member one of these days. If not, who cares? I know last week's video did terribly because it got copyright strike because I was using a lot of movie footage. So yeah, that hurt. But hey, live and learn. That definitely throttles videos for dang sure. But anyways, hey, hopefully you saw it. If not, last week, check out last week's video. And then this week's, it's always nice having you guys here. It's been so nice getting a hold of you. Take care.